Ashok Leyland is well known for its heavy vehicles. What's a little less known, however, is that the company has been the backbone of the Indian military's logistic arm for over 45 years. So, on today's episode of Make in India, New Deal for Defense, CNBC TV 18's Purnima Murli and Jude Sanit trace the journey of one of India's market leaders in defense logistics.
This is the Hippo, one of the first beasts of burden commercial vehicle giant Ashok Leyland gave the Indian Armed Forces. Way back in the 70s, the company delivered 1,000 of these monsters to the Armed Forces, which used these trucks to carry heavy artillery. Over the ensuing 45 years, Ashok Leyland has quietly been adding to the wide stable maintained by the logistics wing of the Armed Forces.
So after the Hippo, slowly we built this relationship with the army. There was a degree of trust. There was a degree of an Indian company that can provide the requirements and meet the requirements of the Indian army.
As the sound of Bofors guns and MiGs echoed along the hilly Himalayan terrain 16 years ago, this trust became evident. The Kargil conflict, which was the last of the 4 wars fought between India and Pakistan, lasted only 2 months. But it set the stage for an unassuming war machine to make its mark behind the scenes. This truck, called the Stallion, was also conceived in Ashok Leyland stables, and its rollout in 1997 came just when India's armed forces needed it the most. Today, nearly 2 decades since the army first put it to use, the Stallion remains a strategic mainstay for the military.
If you look at it in a class of vehicles, as logistics vehicles that move people or troops, this is by far the largest single model in the world that just a specific job of moving troops. Since then we've got many variants. There is an ambulance built on it, there is a mine protected vehicle built on it, there is canteen, there is even spare parts that we move around. So we're really proud of providing the army a vehicle which is very rugged.
And this is where the magic happens.
I am at Ashok Leyland's manufacturing facility in Hosur. Spread over 200 acres, this facility manufactures and assembles specialty vehicles for defense. It started off with one basic troop carrier model and today has many variants of Stallion used for various military applications.
Over the last 18 years, Ashok Leyland has supplied nearly 70,000 units of the Stallion across variants to the armed forces. This makes the company India's largest defense logistics supplier. Ashok Leyland's drive to the position of India's numero uno defense logistics supplier does not begin at its Hosur plant, but at this testing facility in Chennai, where design innovation, expertise and precision take center stage. It's these aspects that have propelled the company to go all the way in defense manufacturing, expanded its mobility platform into a fleet of defense vehicles, from simple troop carriers and logistics vehicles to special purpose vehicles like missile carriers and mine protected vehicles. Ashok Leyland's signature defense vehicle, the Stallion, began with a regular 4x4 variant, which, as you can see right here, was quite literally a 4-wheel truck. But today it's the Super Stallion, with variants of 8 or more wheels that have become the pride of the fleet. In developing these trucks, the company has also made its mark in quality. Sample this. In 2 decades since the Stallion was first launched, these trucks have seen a series of modifications and developments in keeping with the strict quality parameters of the Indian Army. And the Army did not make it easy for the company.
The testing procedure of Indian Army is probably one of the toughest. It teaches us a lot. Imagine we run this vehicle in the Himalayas at minus 40 degrees, and in the next day we lock it up and we are supposed to bring it to Jaisalmer and run it at plus 40 degrees, and all we are allowed to do is to change the engine oil, nothing else, and yet you have to pass the test.
The prep work to pass these tests begins back in Chennai at this highly secure Ashok Leyland Technical Center, which lies just outside the city limits. It's right here that these war machines are subjected to conditions that come close to that of a battlefield. from torture tracks to slopes of varying gradients to a helipad-shaped steering facility. But even as the trucks undergo their trial by fire, this team comprising of Ashok Leyland's best engineers is hard at work, hoping to sharpen design and performance. Nothing is off limits. So from designing clutch pedals to complex fuel pumps, every bit of the vehicle design is considered critical and constantly evolving.
The army jawans have big boots. So when they ride the clutch, when they put their foot on the clutch, more than a normal driver, the clutch is always down. So we had to adjust the clutch pedal play to make sure that a jawan can ride it better.
But Ashok Leyland is fighting another battle within its R&D center. The battle to get greener by developing combat-ready automobiles that also meet stiff emission standards. That explains the company developing the Stallion's inline pump engine, which meets the Army's BS3 emission norms. But nothing is left to chance, and a large part of the company's R&D decision-making is carried out based on customer feedback. Ever since it began making defense vehicles, Ashok Leyland established what it calls model rooms at army depots. And that's why the company engages directly with the Jawans who will be using the final product.
There are nearly 20 such model rooms that we have created, where we have taken an engine, provided a cut section, a gearbox, a cut section, even the driving simulator. All the army Jawans, the drivers, they come and see so that they know exactly what they're operating. And then they're able to point out to our engineers, based on their experience and their knowledge, that this and this you should be able to change.
But the testing is far from over. At the company's Hosur plant, another round of testing is underway. And it's this eye for detail and high quality that has helped Ashok Leyland become the go-to defense vehicle manufacturer for a number of countries. Some of the vehicles in this batch, for instance, are headed for Africa and Southeast Asia.
This is one of the many Stallion variants Ashok Leyland exports. The company had recently supplied 700 such units to Nigeria. Having exported over 1,500 of these to African and Southeast Asian countries, Ashok Leyland surely is gearing up for a surge in exports.
But its international client list is not to be scoffed at. Recognizing its expertise in mobility solutions, the company has received orders from the armed forces of Thailand, Zaire, Nigeria, Ghana, Brunei and the Honduras. It even supplied 176 Stallions to Iraq during the Gulf War. And on its order book today is an order from the Egyptian army. This list could be longer, but Ashok Leyland says it's not interested in every client who comes knocking at its door.
We have said our overall export strategy is that we are focused on 5 clusters outside of the SAARC territory. That's Middle East, Africa, ASEAN, CIS countries and LATAM. We are not looking at even commercial vehicles that we make to export beyond to Europe and all, America and all. In these markets, we focused on these markets because their requirements are similar to India.
An expanding client base comes with an expanding portfolio of products. And that's one area where Ashok Leyland is hungry for more. Today, nearly 6% of the company's total revenues are courtesy its defense portfolio. And Ashok Leyland wants to push this number up to 10% by 2018. And that's where new products will come in handy. In the last 2 years, the company has signed MOUs with Swedish defense firm Saab Group to develop surface-to-air missile platforms. It has tied up with L&T and Nexter to manufacture artillery vehicles. And it has set in motion plans to manufacture training simulators for its Stallions as part of its comprehensive training module. Also on the anvil is a series of high mobility vehicles or HMVs that will for the first time see the company move beyond the Stallion platform. These HMVs are currently being designed in 6x6, 8x8 and 10x10 variants, while a new range of 4x4 and 4x2 defense ambulances are also being engineered. In addition, Ashok Leyland has inked defense deals with a few yet to be disclosed overseas OEMs to manufacture guns and radar and missile platforms. But Dorsale admits that he is not willing to let go of the Stallion just yet, because the Stallion platform remains the most eclectic one available.
We realize that the Army needs a collaborative band which can be used by the Army across the segment of vehicles. So You can't have a gun tower and the ammunition carrier and the troop carrier to be three completely different vehicles. So God forbid if one of the vehicles has a problem, you should not be saying that I have nothing else to do with it. Our strategy in future is going to be leverage the Stallion learning, leverage the Stallion base, expand that, build on it, and carry anything that the army requires us to carry. Whether it's a gun, whether it's ammunition, whether it is telecom equipment, whether it's people.
This means bigger and bolder vehicles. So very soon the Stallion could boast of a variant with 16 wheels and the capability to carry more specialized warheads. But for now, Ashok Leyland is pushing the envelope by working on a 10x10 missile carrier for the Indian Army.
We are now making a 10x10. Army said, well, it's all nice, but we also want a vehicle that can lay out a bridge. And these are vehicles that they were importing before. We said, we are vehicle experts. We never made a 10x10 for ourselves. So we said, but we will make it for the army.
Over the last half a century, Ashok Leyland's defense portfolio has grown from strength to strength. And it's no accident that the company has become one of the top manufacturers in the commercial and defense mobility space. So as the Modi government's Make in India drive picks up steam, the company is strapping in for new heights, new milestones, and new frontiers.
Ashok Leyland's dreams for its defense vehicle manufacturing business are ambitious, but the company is confident that targets are not only achievable but even surpassable, provided certain things fall into place. We'll tell you all about Ashok Leyland's assessment of its key hurdles, strengths and opportunities, but that's when we return on Make in India, a new deal for defense.